Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and yes, today we're talking about Russian bias and the question of does it exist or does it not exist in the game. And before we get into that, I just want to say I am trying to expand the coverage of games on this channel. If you guys have been noticing, I've been uploading different games on Sunday in order to just, kind of bring some more flavor to the channel and such. And this past Sunday, I did a video on Sea of Thieves. It was a pretty fun time with me and my friends, and just to kind of promote that and the Sunday videos, I got a little clip from the intro of the Sea of Thieves video that I just want to show you guys. If you don't care at all, just skip ahead by about a minute or so, and it'll be past that. But if you're interested, please check this out, and if you are interested, please go check out that video. Link to it will pop up in that clip. On this adventure in Sea of Thieves. Oh, that's the skull fart.
Oh, dick.
Yeah. Skull fart.
Yeah, skull fart. Do we want to do that, or?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the
but I don't want to hang around here too long with that sloop right there.
Alright, well, turn the cells around. Let's go kill some skeletons. Alright, let's go, boys. Oh my god. Let him have it. There's a galleon coming this way. He's on our ship, he's on our ship. Catch the anchor, catch the anchor. Oh yeah, that's the boss, alright.
Look at the star.
Alright, anyway, for those of you that either skipped ahead or watched the trailer, hello. Well, thanks for staying for that whole minute. Anyway, so we are going to be talking about Russian bias today. And I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on it with you guys a little bit more in depth than the past. I think I talked about it like a year ago, back when the Russian cruiser split happened, and I think back when the Russian battleships came out. But we're going to look at it today in today's World of Warships. So before we get going, what is bias, first of all? Bias is simply being prejudiced in favor of or against a thing or a person or a group of people. So what's meant by Russian bias? Russian bias means that the Soviet nation in-game has more powerful or OP ships than other nations, and it's commonly brought up when anything that's Soviet and new gets introduced, and to me, honestly, it's kind of just a meme. But we're going to take a look today at the recent history of the game and see how things have been in terms of bias. And before we get into that, I just need to make three things very clear, because they always get brought up when I don't take the wargaming bad route. I'm not a CC. I don't want to become a CC, and I get absolutely no support from Wargaming monetarily in-game. They don't give me free handouts or anything. They don't give me any coverage or anything on their channel or on any of their social media pages, so I'm completely independent of Wargaming. So, that being said, we will of course be talking about battleships a bit, since that is mostly my played class, but I'll be talking about them without taking Deadeye into consideration, since that skill is being removed in 10.4. However, of course, the background footage you're watching right now was recorded in the current patch, and Deadeye is still a thing, so take any footage you see in the background with a grain of salt, knowing that that skill will not be available in 10.4. So, a decent measurement of how powerful a ship is its average damage stats. Now, of course, stats aren't everything, and I normally don't even bring up stats at all on this channel because stats are unreliable depending upon what ship you're talking about, and we'll get more to that in a minute. But they get brought up in a lot of conversation, especially when I was talking about the Thunderer back in the day. There's got so many comment threads talking about the average damage stats of the Thunderer versus other tier 10 battleships. So we're going to take a look at these stats for these Russian ships, and we're going to be looking at tier 10 ships. I say tier 10 because tier 10 is where all tech lines should be at their best, since this is supposed to be the pinnacle of their nation's technology. So when we're looking at purely tier 10 for the purpose of this video. If we looked at other tiers, this would be like a 2-hour long video, and I don't want to make a 2-hour long video. I want to try and keep this under 20-25 minutes. So let's go ahead and look at battleships first. Well, Slava's third from the top, but Slava is a research bureau ship, meaning that you have to really want to get this ship. You have to regrind a line about 7 times in order to get it. So naturally, a player with that amount of dedication is going to, of course, probably be your better than average player. But besides that, Kremlin, however, who many have argued is more OP than Thunderer, is third from the bottom in terms of average damage. However, if we remove steel and reward ships, because like I just said, reward ships you have to grind out a certain resource to get, steel ships you have to grind out steel to get, and just look at tech line ships, Kremlin is still 6th out of the 8 tier 10 battleships we have in game right now in terms of damage. 6th. That's pretty low. That's very low for a ship as young as the Kremlin. Alright? So cruisers now. Cruisers are a bit more interesting because I'm sure most of you know this. The Soviet nation has 5 tier 10 cruisers. 5 tier 10 cruisers. Out of the 19 tier 10 cruisers that we have in the game right now, 5 are Soviet. So, looking at them, of course, Stalingrad is at the top. Like I just said, it's a steel ship. And Stalingrad is mostly played by very competitive players, mostly in clan battles. So when they do get taken on into random battles, these Stalingrads are usually in the hands of very capable players. And you don't even really see Stalingrad that much in randoms because it's really not that great in random battles. Alright, so next up is Smolensk at 6th place. No surprise there. Smolensk was, well, and still is a pretty darn good damage farmer. In 8th place is the Nevesky, in 10th place is the Petropavlovsk, and 12th place is the Moskva. Looking at destroyers, Kaba's at the top, with Grozavoy being 11th place. Talk about a freaking gap there. Kaba, of course, used to be just a terrifying DD to fight against back in the day, but now Kaba's been nerfed into the ground in the past couple of years, and really only recently became playable again. There was a very long period of time where Kaba didn't get the Battleship AP versus DD changes that every other DD except for Kaba and Harugumo got, meaning that Kaba still took 30% of Battleship AP shell damage, which hurts when you're a DD, where every other DD got 10%. So it recently got that back, but at the same time has been eclipsed by the Kleber, because Kleber quite simply does everything Kaba does but better. I don't think anybody would disagree with me there. So what does this mean? In 2 of the 3 classes, Russian ships sit at the top. But one of those ships is, of course, a steel ship. Now, steel is a reward for competitive game modes, CBs and ranked, like I said, meaning that players that amass enough steel to acquire these ships have to be pretty good players. So naturally, any steel ship stats are going to be higher than others. For the battleships, Burgon and Shiki are 1 and 2 respectively, for the exact same reasons. So if we do remove steel ships, Russian ships sit in the number 1 spot for average damage for only DDs. And again, I don't think anyone would argue that Kaba is OP in today's World of Warships. Now, win rate could also be brought up too, but isn't really a fair comparison, as older ships with millions of battles played, such as the Yamato with over 5 million battles played in her, naturally has a much lower win rate, sitting right now at 48%. Now we have newer ships like the Colombo with a little over 2,000 battles played in her with a 52% win rate. So I don't think win rate's really a fair statistic to go by. And even if you go by ships sunk and average XP, it kind of shifts things around a little bit, but still the Russian ships aren't like absolutely dominating like you would expect to see them if they were as biased as some people like to say. But you could say Russian ships are overperforming in cruisers. But that may also be because they have so many cruisers, so naturally they have more spots taken up. But Sealord, they have so many cruisers. Doesn't that mean wargaming is biased? Well, maybe. Or it could mean that Leicester Studios, the branch of wargaming that works on World of Warships, is located in St. Petersburg. A city which, if you said, had anything less than a major historical significance with the Russian Navy, would be a huge understatement. It is also home to the Central Navy Museum, one of the largest naval museums in the world, full of artifacts and documents about Russian naval development. It is literally a 10-minute drive from the Leicester Studios, by the way, if I got the address right. So if you're making a World War II naval combat game, pretty convenient place to go to be able to pull some ship designs from, and they've even said as much in some dev diary videos. In this case, honestly, I think that is the case. It is a Russian dev team, so naturally there's going to be some bias there in terms of what they're going to be working on to put in the game, but if the dev team was fully American, we'd probably have 5 tier 10 American cruisers oh wait. But what about all the compilations of crazy citadels and deletions from the Slava, Kremlin, Petrol, and Stalingrad? I hate to break it to you, but 90% of those compilations were from testing. Petropavlovsk, if you actually played it today, it's horribly inaccurate at anything other than close range. Slava got tuned down big time from what was the monstrosity that was the Pobeda. She still has some of the best dispersion of a battleship, even without Deadeye, but all you have to do to ruin her day is angle. Oh, and of course she can get overmatched by 15-inch guns, which the Siegfried has. And other things too, more on that in my Slava video if you want to check that out. Kremlin. Have you actually played Kremlin recently, before Deadeye came out? Kremlin is an absolute shadow of herself. She was broken as hell when she was released, and I said that too plenty of times when she was out. But she has been nerfed into place a long time ago. She still is the best tank at tier 10, which is what she's designed to be, but seriously struggles to hit anything past 13 kilometers at tier 10. Stalingrad isn't even too special anymore except for her fantastic guns, because the game has kind of caught up with all the super cruisers being introduced over the past couple of years with radar, DFAA, large hit pools, fantastic armored like the Puerto Rico, for example. Now, I do think Petro is overpowered just due to her survivability. She sits so low in the water, even MVR struggles to citadel her with her AP rockets. Even with Deadeye, battleships can't reliably citadel her either, which they can do with every other Russian ship. Kremlin, Slava, Stalingrad, Moskva, all can be punished for showing even a little bit of broadside. Not Petro. But I would then ask you, what have been the most overpowered ships in the last year? Now I can tell you from running a Warships channel that the answer to that question is Thunderer, Petropavlovsk, FDR, MVR, and Smolensk. Every video I talked about overpowered ships, these were the most common answers, with a couple other oddballs here and there, but these were the most common in the comment section, at least on my channel. It's pretty easy for me to search on my channel, the comment section, throughout all of YouTube. A little bit harder to do. As we can see, it's a variety of ship classes and nations. We could even get into the uncomfortable truth area and talk about how strong ships like the Massachusetts, Georgia, Alaska, and Ohio are, which they are very strong. There are a variety of ships in the game that go through a period of being strong before they get nerfed, especially after release, or there's some changes to the game mechanics. For example, the IFHE changes hit Smolensk, Worcester, Atlanta, and Flint super hard, and then the commander rework came around and hit them even harder. It just seems that the memory of those periods of overpoweredness stick longer with the Russian ships than with other nations. So, in conclusion, I think Russian bias in terms of game balance is just a meme. I do think that there is a problem with ships coming out in a state that is too powerful for the game, and the devs just kind of going, okay, we'll nerf it later, like with MVR. If you guys remember, MVR was, quite frankly, the most broken thing in the game. The only thing that stopped it from being the most broken thing in the game was that FDR came out right after, and there was this period where you had FDR and MVR just being incredibly overpowered, but then they nerfed the MVR's aiming reticle for her dive bombers, and now she's nowhere near as powerful as she used to be because you can't guarantee, getting at least 2 citadels on every battleship you can drop on. But yeah, I do think there is a problem with that. Either these ships don't get tested enough during their testing cycle, or the need to rush out new content to the game kind of takes precedent, which is what we saw happen with the MVR, and what I'm pretty sure happened with the Venezia too. If any of you played in Season 9 of Clan Battles, the meta was 1 Hawk, 6 Venezia. It was grueling. I hated Venezia after Season 9. You can go back and watch my videos from around Season 9 of Clan Battles, and I hated Venezia. The thing can chunk you for 20k with its sap damage through your superstructure if you're a battleship, if you're another Venezia, if you're a Stalingrad, whatever. But they nerfed her, and now she's a fine ship in terms of balance. Also, if there is one thing wargaming is biased to, it's money. So why would wargaming focus on catering to one country with just 144 million people when there's another 7.5 billion potential customers out there to appeal to? It doesn't make good business sense to just shut out that much of your customers by appealing to just one country's population. Putin isn't going to write wargaming a check just because the Petropavlovsk has higher average damage numbers than the Des Moines, at least in my mind. And that's what I think of Russian bias. It's a nice meme. It's a good joke to throw around when something comes out and it's a bit overtuned. But if you seriously step back and look at all the ships in the game that are either a bit too powerful or a bit too OP that we don't see because of our biases. I'm not, I'm American. I like the Massachusetts, but the truth be told, it is a little bit powerful. It's got a fantastic heal, a quick cooldown time on its damage con, 9 American 16-inch guns, German levels of secondaries. There's not a lot of downsides to the Massachusetts. Oh, and it still has good AA too. Like even today, it still has good AA. There's really not a lot of downsides to the Massachusetts. And the Thunderer too. Like when my Thunderer video first came out, when I said the Thunderer's OP after I finally got my hands on her, people were saying, oh, well, I mean, it counters the Kremlin and the Slava, and, it's okay to have an OP ship that isn't Russian. No, it's not. That's bad for the game. So that may have a lot to do with it, too. And, again, for me personally, it's just the meme. And like I've said plenty of times before, if something's that overpowered or that broken, like the Thunderer, like the MVR was, like the FDR, it is bad for the game. Doesn't matter what nation it's in, doesn't matter if it's a tech line ship, if it's a reward ship, if it's a premium ship, it needs to get changed, and it needs to be done in order for the game to be healthy. So that's what I think. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Should be a really interesting conversation down there. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. We're getting close to 25,000 subscribers, and we passed 24,100 yesterday, and I cannot thank you guys enough for that. I am planning on doing quite a big giveaway when we get to 25k, so be sure just to keep checking in, especially when we get there. Alright guys, hope you guys are having a wonderful Monday. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.